What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League SPUR-SPECTIVE, where we have a look at the weekend's Premier League games in this case, and we, put a bit of a Spurs spin on it, give a bit of review about how the game's gone, and which team's looking good, which team's looking bad. But look, let's get straight into it. There's a lot of talking points today.
Yeah,
let's start off with the Saturday games, and let's start off with the King Power Stadiums as Leicester beat Southampton by 2-0, and Leicester just not stopping at the moment. Yeah,
it was a really impressive display, I must say. They deserved the win fully. They defended really well. Despite Southampton... Sorry, there's a bit of hair on my microphone. Despite Southampton being the better side for a lot of the game, like dominating possession and stuff, Leicester defended really well, bided their time, and then they killed off the game when they got the opportunities. A couple of good goals, and Maddison's goal, first of all, really special. Finish at the near post, and Barnes sealing it in the 90th minute. And Leicester seem to be on a roll, and they're really not letting up at the moment. They're really not letting up.
That Harvey Barnes seems to be scoring a lot these times.
He's really come
How
into
long
it
do you reckon
season.
until he gets in the England reckoning?
He's already had a cap for England.
But he wasn't picked for the last squad.
Maybe not. But he did have a cap for England not so long ago. So he's already in the conversation apparently. But he's got such stiff competition. You got Sterling, you got Sancho, you got Grealish. Maddison, even his teammate. Like there's so much competition. It's hard for him to even get a look in at the moment. But I think Leicester, you got to start taking them seriously, I guess. I've got a feeling they still might, I'm hoping anyway, they might have a drop-off like they did last season. But, the worrying thing is, if from a Leicester point of view, it's only going to get better because they're getting Pereira back, they're getting Soyuncu back. Obviously, Indeed's back in the team. He's been back in the team for a few games. So from their point of view, they're thinking it's only going to get better from here on in for them. So maybe it's something to worry about. But just like us, they got Europa League, so they got that to focus on as well. I'm just hoping that maybe goals might start to dry up a bit for them. But
they haven't seemed to gone through like a sticky patch yet. They've lost games here and there and drawn games here and there, but never like consecutively.
Yeah,
they've never gone through like that bad period that we've gone through, that most teams have gone through.
I just can't comprehend a team starting Mark Albright on the right wing every single week is somehow challenging at the top, but they seem to do it. And
wasn't he in their starting lineup when they won the league?
Yeah, he was, but but that was years ago. You know what I mean? He's old now. He's like 32,
look at
33.
the team that they had that time when they won the league. You know what I mean? A lot of them were just championship players.
True. Danny Simpson at right back, Wes Morgan, who's centre back. It was back, yeah. And then you could argue they have a better team now than they did when they won the league.
I think they've got a much better team now,
except for they don't have Mahrez. But if you think Spurs are relying on Kane, think about Leicester and Vardy. It's probably times 10.
Yeah.
In terms of their alliance. But look, it's another good win for them, and they keep trudging along. But we are only 2 points behind them. But they play a game midweek. Got Chelsea midweek.
I was looking at the fixtures last night, and I saw that we've got them away last game of the season.
Oh God!
What a crunch match that could be.
That could be a massive game if we're all in amongst it right at the back. And if I remember rightly, last season they had a game against, I think, Man United, or was it Chelsea last game of the season?
Yeah, I think it was Man. Was it Man U?
Yeah, I think it was Man United, and that was the game to get them top 4, and they lost.
Yeah.
So they have a previous for that, but
and a couple of years back we played them last game of the season at Wembley, didn't we? And we won 5-4.
I tell you, if they invest in January, they could really put themselves amongst it. I think if they go with what they have, I reckon they will have a fall. I really do. I'm still sticking to that belief.
All right, look, let's move on. Another big game on Saturday was Fulham against Chelsea, the West London derby at Craven Cottage, as Chelsea nicked it 1-0 to be honest. And you got to say, Chelsea were lucky on the day. I felt that Fulham, especially in the first half, were the much better side. They got a man sent off, and it kind of was, I was going to say one-way traffic after that, but I still thought Fulham had a chance to nick something out of the game, even with 10 men.
They got away with one big time, Chelsea, big time. There was only one team in the first half, and that was Fulham. They were the only team playing football, creating chances. Chelsea were completely non-existent, and they got a completely gimme. They got a handout from the referee with that red card, because I don't think it was a red card. I think they got very lucky. I think it was a strong challenge, and I think he did go in very good with a lot of aggression. but he doesn't make a lot of contact with the player. And I think if the referee doesn't give a red card, I don't think VAR says and overturns it, says that is a red card. So I think it was just one of those ones, as because he went in strongly, VAR doesn't have enough evidence to turn it around and say that's definitely not a red. But I personally think it was a yellow card at best. And after that red card, Chelsea got a massive boost. And even in the second half, as you say, Fulham were well in it. Fulham were well in it with 10 men. They could have scored. Mendy nearly a major screw up, and Cavallero ending up hitting Azpilicueta when he had an open goal.
Obviously, he does that and misses an open goal when against Chelsea, but against us, he headers in. He's so short and not notoriously good in the air, and then he scores a header against us.
Ridiculous. He's a winger by trade, and he's playing up front for them of this season, because of his pace, and yet he's beating Eric Dyer in the air. Ridiculous. But not only was a boost for the red card, but also who got sent off? Anthony Robinson, their left back, who's been one of their best players this season. He's a really good outlet for them on the left-hand side. He was causing Chelsea no end of problems throughout that whole first half. He was literally raiding down the left-hand side time after time. They were really struggling to deal with him. So him getting sent off was also, the actual player himself getting sent off was a massive help to Chelsea. And look, they got the goal at the end. Obviously, they were pressing late in the game, and it looked like it was only a matter of time before Chelsea did break the deadlock. But they definitely got away with one. And on
late as well.
On another day, they would have dropped points. They should have really dropped points, because Fulham were by far the better team. So I was not convinced at all with Chelsea with that win. And they've got a big game in midweek with Leicester. So we'll see how they fare in that one.
I think Fulham stay up this season. I've been really impressed with them the last couple of weeks when I've seen them play. And I really like the look of Lookman as well. I keep saying it, but I think he keeps playing well.
What I would say about Fulham, they're playing well and they are competitive. But what I would say is they're playing well, but they're still not picking up wins. They're still now 7 games without a win. They had 6 draws in a row, and then they got a loss. So they really need to start turning those draws into wins if they're going to have any hope. But they're not far off in the league table. They're still very tight. Obviously, with Brighton faltering. I feel like Brighton actually play better, but they're so porous up front that they're just always in it for drop points, because they create so many chances but they don't put any of them away ever. So it's a difficult one. But look, Fulham are only 4 points off Burnley in 17th, so it's still very, very tight. But they need to start winning games, because Burnley, despite having bad form, they've lost 3 of their last 5, but they've won 2 games. That's more than Fulham have in their last 5.
Yeah.
So even though Fulham are playing well, they're still picking up the points that they need.
Yeah, and if you look at it, they got 2 games in hand on Brighton as well, which could stand them in good stead. So
yeah, 5 points behind with 2 games in hand. I wouldn't back them to claw back those 5 points though. Because they're just drawing. They're drawing too many games like us.
They are, and Brighton aren't really doing much. I know they won this weekend, but it's their first win in a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, their first win in a while. But they're always in games as well, Brighton.
So are Fulham, though. You can say the same about Fulham.
Yeah, I guess. But I think Brighton create more chances than Fulham do, I feel.
Yeah, but still not scoring enough goals at all.
Definitely not.
Let's move on. Let's go to...
let's just quickly... the clanger of the week again, Timo Werner. Timo Werner again.
I actually think clanger of the week might go to Aubameyang.
Maybe we'll have to talk about that later. But Werner again keeping up his record of massive misses, and this guy, the one that troubles me for this week is that
Roberto Soldado.
He was through on goal. It was his perfect position as well. This one, literally on the left-hand channel, curling into the far corner, and it wasn't even close. He had all the time in the world to slot that home. So I wonder at what point it starts to get worrying for Chelsea if it's not already.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Lampard I know he won this game, but I think with the way this game went and the way the previous results has gone, he's increasingly growing under pressure.
Yeah, but look, they did get the win, so obviously it relieves the pressure a bit. But we're still 4 points ahead, and they play Leicester midweek, so we're gonna have a game in hand after that one.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to the London Stadium as West Ham beat Burnley by 1-0.
Yeah, another good result for West Ham, who are having a pretty solid season. Antonio coming back in and getting a goal as well.
Yeah.
David Moyes proclaiming that West Ham are not the old West Ham anymore. I think that's a bit too early to say that, but I think they are having a good season. They actually do have a fairly good squad.
It reminds me a bit of that Mark Noble thing at the end of the season.
We're not a circus anymore.
This club ain't run like a circus no more.
Yeah, and then it was a complete circus the next season. I think like the next season he was fighting the fans on the pitch at home to Burnley or something. Yeah, look. West Ham they've put themselves in and amongst it. I don't think they're going to have enough to challenge really for top four, despite them only being 4 points behind us. But I think that they're really going good guns, and you've got to give them credit. To be fair to them, they're having a good season. And
yeah, look, I've been impressed with West Ham this season. I haven't seen too much of their games, but in terms of results, you've got to be impressed with the way they're getting results this season. And they're having their best season in a while, in a long time. Probably
since their last season at Upton Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Best season since then. This is definitely their best season at this Olympic Stadium, isn't it? So you got to say that. But I don't think they're a threat just yet to challenging us or the top six.
Don't be silly, mate. West Ham, come on. Let's move on to Ellen Road as Leeds lost. They're really on bad form now. Leeds lost at home by 1-0 to Brighton. Brighton got a much-needed win as Leeds. They're really starting to falter at the moment.
Yeah, they are still 12th, so they're not that precarious position. They're 11 points off relegation, so there's not much danger of that just yet. But they are on pretty bad form. They've won 2 of the last 5, but they've lost 3, so they're still getting a few wins in there. You're trudging along to get the points up, but I was watching the game and they seemed completely off the pace. Off the pace. Brighton were the better team. Leeds, obviously tried to play their attacking football, but they didn't seem on it. And that's the difference between Leeds and other teams, kind of, because they play such intense pressing attacking football. When they're off it, they're not that great defensively. They don't have that solid base to build from. And that's the thing, they're quite easy to beat when they're not attacking well. So that was another case of that. When they are on it, you saw against West Brom, they can batter you. But against Brighton, they were undone, I felt.
Yeah, they were. And you've got to say, I don't think they've scored a goal in this calendar year yet in 2021. Am I right in saying that? Because they lost 3-0 to us. They lost in the Cup with a very embarrassing loss there in the Cup. And then they've lost 1-0 to Brighton, and there might be one game in there that I'm missing.
Was West Brom not in 2021? I guess not. Must have been in December. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't know.
It must be, because they can't have played more than 3 games.
Yeah, you're right.
So, lost 3-0 to that Cup defeat was shocking, because they played a more or less full-strength team in that game.
Yeah, and they got battered 3-0.
Exactly. So I think Bielsa's got some work to do this season, because everyone's been impressed and everyone's been praising Leeds and how they played this season. But
I think they're doing fine.
Yeah, they are doing fine. But, a few more losses and a few more wins for the team below them, they could be slightly in trouble.
Look, they're 12th. They're 11 points clear of 18th right now. Who's below them? There's Palace, Wolves, Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley at the moment who are below them, and obviously Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United. I think they're okay. I think the way they play, they'll get the wins needed.
Yeah,
they'll get the wins needed.
You're probably right, but I'm just saying this calendar year they've been pretty shocking.
Yeah, but it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah. But you put in a game against Crawley and they're losing 3-0.
Yeah, shocker.
It's embarrassing.
That was embarrassing. He's got to find out what the hell happened in that one for sure.
But look, let's move on to the last game. Well, it was actually the first game on the Saturday. We've gone backwards, but West Brom and Big Sam off to got a win. 3 points on the board. 3-2 at the Molineux away at Wolves.
Yeah, it was one of those scrappy 3-2 wins. It wasn't.
It's always going to be scrappy. With
yeah,
Big Sam,
exactly. But you look at the result and you're thinking, West Brom must have played well and they must have been good attacking football to get that win. It wasn't really. They got 2 penalties and they got a header from a long throw.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly like they did amazingly for all their goals, but it's what it is. It's an impressive win to win away at Wolves. Anyone winning away at Wolves is impressive because they're tough to beat, especially in the Molineux. But I wouldn't get too excited just yet from West Brom. I want to see this consistently. You can't be relying on players fouling you in the box every game and you getting headers from long throws. You need your attacking players to step up. So, good win, but they need to build on it.
Fabio Silva's first goal from open play for Wolves that day.
Nice goal.
Nice goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a nice goal from Fabio Silva, and you look, he's only 18, and a lot of burden's been put on his shoulders because of the injury to Jimenez, which is obviously when you're so young coming into a new league, it's obviously going to be a big adaptation period. But I actually think he's not doing terribly. It's taken a few games for him to get into it, but he's starting to get really involved in the game now, and I think Wolves might have a good player in the future on their hands there.
Yeah, I mean, if Football Manager's anything to go by, then they definitely do.
He starts killing it, does he?
They definitely do. So, look, let's move on to Anfield, which was the game of the weekend. Not on the pitch, but all the kind of talk before the game, first v second or what have you. Everyone was talking about that. This derby is the biggest derby in world football. Not sure about that one, but Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. Who would have come away with that more happy? United, right?
I think United will come away with that happy. I think going away, especially when they're top of the league and only they took the point, and I thought they played like very similar to us. I think we got criticism for the way we approached the game, but I think United pretty much did exactly the same thing we did, except they didn't, concede a last-minute header from a corner or a deflection. I think United will say they created the better chances. Liverpool would say they created more chances. Pretty much same narrative as when we played them. I think United will probably have a bit of taste in their mouth that they could have won that game because of the chances they had right near the end with Bruno and with Pogba. But Liverpool, they seemed to run out of steam after half an hour. They had a really quick start, dominating Man United, all over them, all over the park. And then all of a sudden, it didn't quite happen for them. Had a few chances, didn't quite get them in. And then all of a sudden, they kind of ran out of steam and United started to get more and more involved in the game. So I think both teams will be disappointed with the result. But I think it leaves it wide open for the league. It really does. I think both teams didn't really impress me that too much. I think United definitely impressed me more than Liverpool. But
the thing is with Liverpool, I was talking about what I was talking about with Leeds, saying they really need to start getting points on the board. I mean, Liverpool really need to start getting points on the board, or if we beat them next week, they're out the top four. And what a turnout for the books that will be. Liverpool out of the top four.
They're 4 games out of win.
I know, it's mental. And you're talking about Liverpool, who nearly went unbeaten the whole of last season. They've got over 90 points in the last 2 seasons, and now they can't seem to buy a win at the moment.
No, it was a big drop-off, isn't it? And obviously with all the injuries hampering them. I knew the injuries were going to hamper them. It wasn't before, but once teams get used to them not having, it's one thing like having a few one-off games with all these big injuries, but when you're consistently doing it, it's going to take its toll. And I think we're seeing that now. I'm not saying they're never going to pick up form again. I'm sure they will, but they have the ability to go through these periods, like 4 games that win. When was the last time they did that? Probably a long time ago.
Probably in Klopp's first season or something, or even before that.
And a lot of pressure at the moment is going on, obviously. Well, obviously they're playing 2 midfielders at centre-back, which is already a big problem. But the front 3 just seem to be if they're not getting goals early in the first half, they seem to run out of steam a bit. I don't know if they can keep up with this intensity of the gang press that Klopp likes to play. I guess we'll have to see throughout the season how it pans out. But at the moment, they're struggling a bit. Teams seem to be shutting them out. And United did exactly the same thing. And I think we would have done the same if it wasn't for that stupid deflection, which was a bit lucky in that last-minute corner. So I think Liverpool, obviously, you can't rule them out, but they're struggling in the moment, and I can see why. But as it goes to Man United, I think they will probably see it as a missed opportunity, but a point's probably better for them because they're top of the league.
Another game against the top 6 side that Bruno Fernandes didn't produce in this week.
I would more like to focus on the narrative that United haven't really scored against, or only scored 1 goal against a top 6 side,
which was us in the
6-1, which also was a penalty in the first minute.
That's his only goal or assist against the top 6 side. Well, seeing as they haven't scored, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, they drew 0-0 to City. They drew 0-0 to Chelsea. They lost 6-1 to us. They lost home 1-0 to Arsenal. But I guess it's how you define a top 6 side. Because if you're saying Everton are in there or Leicester,
yeah, I think when people talk about top 6, they talk about the classic top 6 kind of thing.
Because Leicester, they drew 2-2, and obviously they beat Everton. Yeah. But they have struggled at the top. They are fairly consistent though against the teams below that. So you got to say that they've shown a lot of consistency this season, which has been very impressive and very surprising considering how the staple under Ollie has been lack of consistency. However, what I would say is under Ollie, they have shown runs where they've gone on winning runs, and then they've also shown runs when they've gone on runs where they're struggling a lot. So as much as they're doing well now, it's always a possibility they can go on a run where they don't win for a few games, and we've seen that under Ollie. But one thing I must say to stress is they've gone now a year unbeaten in the Premier League away from home.
Really?
A whole year, calendar,
right?
a whole
Wow.
year. The whole of since the end of last season.
Wow.
So since January, this calendar year, they've been unbeaten away from home. So that is an impressive stat, whatever way you look at it. It is impressive. So you got to give them credit for that.
Do you think they got enough to win the league this season?
Well, as much as anyone else, they got a good team. They do have a good team, and I said the signing Cavani would help them, and it has helped them. I think Bruno's obviously stepped up again this season. He's been unbelievable. They've got two really quick forwards in Rashford and Martial, who are going to be a threat to anyone on the counter if you leave them
Martial
space.
seems to be a bit off the ball this
He
season.
has been very off the ball this season, but if he gets back into form, he's always going to be a big threat. Obviously, Greenwood's a youngster as well, who's decent. Pogba seems back in form after all that talk.
Though?
Yeah, true, but I think he's kind of responded to the critics. I think he's got he's got like a statement to make after everyone saying he wanted to leave and his agent saying all this stuff in the press, and he was coming under a lot of criticism. Ever since then, he's been great. He's been really, really good. So I think he's probably sending a message to people about that. He's still here. He's still a world-class midfielder, and he's played really well. So I think, and obviously, Van den Beek on the bench, he hasn't played a minute yet, and
I don't really get that. He doesn't seem to get a look in at all.
Yeah, but where do you fit him in? His best position's in the number 10, and then you got Bruno there, and then you got Pogba there.
So
Like,
why'd they sign him?
don't know.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Because I thought Pogba was leaving probably, and he didn't
maybe.
leave. I think that was probably the situation. But I think they have as good at the moment. You got to say they have as good a chance as any. But I feel like we're still in there in terms of looking to finish above them and stuff. I know they're 4 points ahead of us, but I'm confident that we can get it back in amongst if we can go on a run. I know we've dropped some silly points, but United are also very capable of going on a run where they don't win. So I think they're definitely in the race, but I'm not sure if they're going to have the to go over the line. Is Ollie actually going to win a title? I don't know if he actually is. He hasn't won anything yet.
I mean, he always fails at the semi-final hurdle. I mean, he's lost more semi-finals in the last year than Fergie did in the whole of his Man United career.
There you go.
So exactly. Let's go over to the Etihad. Man City steamrolled Palace 4-0. You got to say, in my opinion, City are favourites for the league.
Hey.
I really think you got to look at the way they're playing football at the moment. You got to look at the way they're defending. John Stones have come in really. Nobody expected John Stones to come in and start for City this season. He's really been a revelation in these last couple of games. I think Ruben Dias, you could argue he's been signing of the season. Phil Foden stepping it up. Man City are a classy act this season. I think
They're a classy act every season.
if they have a striker, if they had an out-and-out striker this season, I think they'd blow this league away. I really believe that. And, since that game against Tottenham when they lost 2-0, they've only conceded, I think, 2 goals since then. One against West Brom in a 1-1 draw, and then one against Chelsea in a 3-1 win. So you got to say their defence is really, really stepped it up. And, last couple of seasons, that's the only kind of criticism you would have of Man City is their defence, and they've sorted that out.
Yeah, look, they're playing really good football at the moment. Really good football. Obviously, De Bruyne is still is delightful best. That cross for Stones' first goal was an unbelievable cross to the outside. It was put foot right on his head. Was absolutely delightful. And they are playing. Look, City always play some of the best football you're ever going to see. And it was all about this season. At the beginning of the season, they just weren't converting those chances. They were creating a lot of chances, but they were being very wasteful. But now they seem on it again. They're the first team this season to win 5 on the trot. No one else has done that. They're obviously 2 points behind Man United in first, who with 1 game in hand. So they're obviously in pole position at the moment to go top of the league. And I agree with you. I think the only thing holding them back at the moment is the fact they don't have a striker on form. And obviously Jesus is starting to come into form again with Aguero still injured. But did he score against? No, he didn't score against Palace City, but he started against Palace and he played quite well. And once he gets firing, Jesus, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to stop them. I thought also at the beginning of the season they struggled a bit in possession to kind of dominate the chances and everything. But ever since they got Phil Foden into the team, I feel like that he's been solving that problem. He's such a such a good player, Phil Foden, such a good young player, and he really is going to be the heir to the David Silva throne, I think, in the future. Despite him being very young, 19, 20, I think he's got a massive, massive future ahead of him, and he's going to be a big, big part of Man City's future. And they seem to have just found a system that's working for the moment. And, you know, the thing is as well, Sterling hasn't really been on form this season.
That's a free kick.
Yeah, great free kick, but it's only a matter of time before he starts really firing as well. And then all of a sudden they're going to have another goal threat there. Bernardo Silva hasn't been involved too much. He's as well going to come back into it. So they've got players who are out of form who are going to make a big impact.
But there's a player called Ilkay Gundogan, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he has just turned a switch this season. I mean, he is playing. I think he's been their best player this season. He has been absolutely sensational. And that goal against Palace, oh my days. Like the way he took that ball, beat a man, curled it into the top corner. I mean, the guy is playing some sensational stuff at the moment, and he's scoring a lot of goals, and it's something that he hasn't really done for City before.
Yeah, I remember him once scoring a brace against Barcelona a few years ago in the Champions League. I think he always had the capability of being a midfielder who can chip in with a few goals.
He's never done it consistently, though.
Yeah, he's never been a regular goal scorer. I wouldn't say he's a regular goal scorer now, but he's chipping in with a few goals. And I think he's always been such a good midfielder. Gundogan, I've always rated him so highly. And he's been one of those midfielders that just goes under the radar because he allows David Silva and Kevin De Bruyne and the forward players to really flourish. And he just knits the team together, and he's the kind of player who Harry Winks should be modelling his game on. I'm not joking. He is.
You're right.
He is. He's exactly the type of player, because it's not Gundogan's job to get goals and assists. It's his job to help the team function, to help the team get in attacking situations, get the ball forward quickly, and also help protect the defence. And he's like exactly what Harry Winks should aspire to be. In that position, because people ask, you know, what does Winks do? Well, he should be doing that kind of role, and I think Gundogan offers the perfect example of what that role looks like for me. And I think he's a delightful player. He's a world-class talent, and his only problem has really been staying fit, and he seems to be doing that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, 4 goals in his last 7 games, Gundogan. He really has flicked a switch this season, and I've been so impressed with him in the last month or so. So that's that. Let's move on to the last game of the weekend. I'm sure we can just breeze past this one just because I'm not interested in talking about it, and I'm sure you're not too interested in talking about it. But Arsenal 3, Newcastle 0 last night at the Emirates.
They're back. Arteta in.
Yeah, Arteta in. Aubameyang's back. 2 goals.
He's back. I called this game from the first 5 minutes I was looking at the game, because I tell you what, I was looking at this game, I was like, Newcastle are here to attack, and I don't know why, because they've never done that this season, but Newcastle have come here to attack Arsenal today and to try and ask questions of their defence. And I was thinking, all right, I don't mind that, but you're going to have to still defend, because Arsenal still have good players going forward.
They defended well in the first half.
They defended all right, but as soon as in the second half, they got found out big time. If you look at all their goals they conceded, especially the first one, how much space Aubameyang is afforded. He's one-on-one on the halfway line with the defender, because Newcastle were actually going forward for once, which usually their tactic is to sit 11 men behind the ball and wait for things to happen. But they're actually being progressive yesterday, and it completely played into Arsenal's hands. If you ask Arsenal, how would you want Newcastle to set up today, that's exactly how they would want them to set up. So you've got to say that Newcastle, despite the criticism, I think it was a response to the criticism for losing to Sheffield United. They thought they'll probably have a go in this one and see if they can get a goal. And I think it was the wrong approach. I think they should have done that against Sheffield United, and this game then did what they did in the FA Cup, which they did well. But I think they completely played into Arsenal's hands, and another good win for Arsenal. But you've got to say, Arsenal, they've won 4 of the last 5, but the wins against West Brom, Brighton and Newcastle, they're probably the bottom 3 in the form table right now. Apparently Newcastle are below Sheffield United in the form table right now.
They can't hit a barn door at the moment, Newcastle. They just can't score a goal. They just can't do it.
How the hell did we draw to those lot, honestly?
That was the least drawable game, you know what I mean? We battered them for 90 minutes. We absolutely battered them.
But look, Newcastle are below Sheffield United in the form tables. It's not like it's a win which is going to impress me. And Arsenal have a very, very hard run of games now. So this is going to be the true test of where they are, because these wins, for me, probably paper over the cracks over anything else, because obviously they're playing teams who are 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th in the form table right now, so the wins will probably be easier to come by despite the fact that they're on good form. But if they do start getting results against Southampton and City and Chelsea, then you got to say, okay, they're starting to play well again. And they did play well yesterday, Arsenal. I'll give them credit. They did play well. They dominated Newcastle from start to finish pretty much. And it was only a matter of time, I thought, before they got the goals. But we'll see a true test of where they are in these next few weeks.
What did you make out of Aubameyang and the Arsenal team celebration when they all got in a circle and Aubameyang was doing some madness there, acting like they've won 5-6 games in a row?
Oh, they nearly have 4 out of 5.
It's true.
So
it's true.
No,
but they're still 12th in the league or whatever it is.
They've just entered into the top half. However, they've played 19 games, and first of all, Villa have 4 games in hand on them, and the whole of the top half pretty much have a game in hand on them. So I wouldn't get too excited just yet. And we're still 6 points ahead with a game in hand. So I think they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to get in and amongst it for a fight for Europe. But look, they're in good form at the moment, but whether they can keep it up once they start playing teams who are above relegation form, then we'll see.
Yeah, and then obviously clanger of the week, Aubameyang, or close to clanger of the week for Aubameyang.
Yeah, you got obviously did get a brace, but
was it harder than it looked? Or
it was harder than it looked, but it was still an easy chance. It was still an easy chance. He just has to get it on target, and it's a goal. And completely miscued it. It was an open goal. It was a tight angle, but it's for a player like Aubameyang, he's got to be eating those up. But look, he did get a brace at the end of the day, so you can't clown on him too much. But that was a very bad miss.
Yeah. All right, so that is it. That is the PL's perspective. That is the roundup. Let me know in the comment section below if you have anything to talk about regarding all the things that we spoke about. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.